for my panelists in tonight's rundown. Each topic gets 1 minute today. Clocks don't care about your feelings. Joining me today, senior producer at the Daily Signal, Kelsey Harkness, Fox News contributor and head of research at Bustle, Jessica Tarloff, and podcast host at the Daily Wire, the execrable Michael Knowles. He works with me, so I can say that. All right, let's start. So, guys, was it the right move for the GOP to confirm Kavanaugh? I'll start with you, Kelsey.
Absolutely. If the GOP didn't confirm Kavanaugh, they would have set a very dangerous precedent in this country. Not just that allegations not grounded in actual evidence or corroboration can derail you from a seat on the Supreme Court, but also that it can ruin your entire life. Democrats absolutely overplayed their hands in this. We knew they were already motivated in the midterms. Republicans were in trouble. Now they're united like never before and fired up. You're going to see them at the polls.
Now, Jessica, I know you disagree with this, obviously, so...
Only like 99% of it, which is a rarity. The GOP certainly should have gotten Kavanaugh confirmed for their own interests and for what's going to happen in November. I think that enthusiasm gap bump is real and serious, and we have to hope as Democrats that they forget about this in the next 30 days or so. In terms of what this means for America and the precedent that I think that it has set, I would encourage everyone to actually listen to Lisa Murkowski. I know everyone is loving Susan Collins, but I think Lisa Murkowski said some very powerful things about the importance of judicial temperament and faith in institutions. And I would also like to point out she is the only GOP female senator who is a lawyer.
Well, Michael, I get to your opinion, but I don't care about it. But the next topic, I spoke this week at USC. A few hundred protesters actually showed up outside, which isn't surprising. That's usually how it goes. Our colleges are broken. One of the most insane stories, my favorite, this week, featured an attempt by USC students to get a USC professor, James Moore, fired for simply telling students that due process ought to apply to Brett Kavanaugh. At the University of Wisconsin, students launched a website called Make Them Scared UW with a list of unverified sexual abuse allegations against various students. So are college students really going to go along with the radical side of the Me Too movement? We'll start with you, Michael, since you didn't get any chance to speak last time, which was great, but we'll go to you this time.
Wonderful, of course. Well, look at the example that's being set for them by Senate Democrats. Of course, this is going to get worse. There are two problems here. One is the hookup culture. If the hookup culture is the 1960s free love, Me Too is the 1970s hangover. The other is a lack of civic education. So now we've had major rape hoaxes at universities, UVA, Hofstra, all over the country, University of Wyoming. And yet we have more kangaroo courts, more campus tribunals. This has gone all the way up to Supreme Court confirmation hearings. Unfortunately, college students don't understand due process. They don't understand presumption of innocence. And I don't see either of those problems getting better in the near future.
And Kelsey, what do you make of it?
A lot of Americans don't realize that the country was quite divided on the Me Too movement prior to the Kavanaugh confirmation. Only half of millennial women had faith in the movement. Clearly, women are even more divided now than ever. I think you're right that college students are taking a more radical interpretation. That's only going to get worse. You're going to have a lot of fun in your future visits to college campuses. On the other hand, the Me Too movement is losing a lot of conservative women who wanted to be a part of it but cannot get on board with this radical interpretation of it.
Well, coming back, we'll have more with our wonderful rundown panel. So, are our universities savable? Let's ask our panel. We'll start with you, Jessica.
They're totally savable. I am an ivory tower product myself, and I wouldn't have written any of those papers. I listened.
They're crazy.
They are crazy, and I was political science anyway. But I listen to conservatives sit around all the time complaining about this. Go out, get your degrees, get your PhD, you go and teach, you publish papers on the things that you think are important to talk about. I understand some of this sounds ridiculous, but this idea that our universities aren't educating people properly, I completely agree with what you're saying about more civics. Yeah. But it seems, for all the power that conservatives have, certainly in America today, in politics and across the board, a lot of money, why are you complaining all the time?
Because they won't give us the PhD, seriously.
They won't, really?
Yes, because the people who are professors actually have to approve PhDs, and you're not going to get anyone to approve your dissertation about why the Second Amendment's a great idea. But I'll let our Yale grad here talk to this.
That's like the worst campus of all for these kind of crazy things. It's true. They won't give you the PhD, and they won't give you tenure either. So it ends up going on and on and on. When I was at Yale, I actually you had this blog where we would just use direct quotes from gender studies papers because they were so farcical, vegetarian ecofeminisms, that kind of thing. That said, I think there is a lot of hope. There is a demand out there. If in the 1990s we had known that the right could take over media, could have a foothold in the mainstream media, we would have been shocked. 3 years ago, if we knew that we could get these policy wins, these judicial wins, we would have been shocked. I think there's a demand.
So you admit that conservatives aren't the victims here, and you guys are actually
No, we are the
doing pretty
victims,
well.
but we're going to fight
What are
back
you the
against the
victim of?
bullies, is what we're
Hey,
going to
Kelsey,
do.
what's your
yes.
take?
This is sort of an emperor has no clothes moment for universities and for these academic journals. This story published by the Wall Street Journal originally, good investigation there. You don't know whether to laugh or cry while you're reading it. And I think that universities, if they're savable, they really need to take a hard look in the mirror. We know over at Brown just a couple months ago, and an article promoting a research paper about transgender ideology was pulled simply because certain people didn't like the end results of that study. Are they savable? I'm certainly a half glass full kind of girl, but I'm very worried, and I think there's a lot of work to do. There's a big fight ahead.
Well, we're not going to get to the last topic because I blew through the clock. That one's on me, guys.
Yeah.